Good morning, good morning, good morning. Sometimes I feel a little bit like Mr. Rogers. Welcome to my neighborhood. Welcome to my yoga neighborhood. I am Karen coming to you from Salt and Sand Studios in Vermont. And today our focus is on the Vinyasa. You might ask, what the heck is the difference between Vinyasa and Vinyasa? Because there is the Vinyasa flow, which is what characterizes the majority of my sequences and many other studios. The Vinyasa is actually 4 poses, which are oriented toward building strength and also building and maintaining heat. And today, in Vermont, or at least central Vermont, or at least Warren, Vermont, where it's about 44, 46 degrees, we will start to focus a little bit more on heat, preparing for the winter, creating a transitioning for ourselves into autumn and the colder months. So what the heck are the 4 poses? There is high plank. There is chaturanga, which is a little plank. There is technically an upward dog. My body doesn't do upward dog, so I tend to do cobra. You can also do sphinx, but any kind of back bend. But the traditional is upward facing dog. And then, of course, Adho Mukha Svanasana, which is downward facing dog. I know you know exactly what the Sanskrit word is for that, or Sanskrit word. So we're going to go ahead and get started actually building heat with our breath, bringing into play the Ujjayi breath today. I do have my heat on, so I'm Mr. Rogering out of my sweater this morning. We're going to find easy pose, Sukhasana, which is seated tall with legs crossed, knees relaxed. Maybe you place a prop underneath the outsides of your legs. We draw the belly slightly in and up. We relax the shoulders, and we take the crown of the head and we imagine there's this beautiful golden string attached to it and reach it upward like it's attached to the sun or the moon, whatever your preference is. Hands can be on your thighs or in your lap. This is easy pose. A very meditative pose is the hands in the lap with the back of the right hand and the palm of the left. And your the pads of your thumbs touching. Gaze is either through closed eyes or maybe forward and down about 3 feet or 2 feet in front of you. And now we're just going to notice the breath, kind of welcoming ourselves to the practice. Noticing how the breath changes the shape of the body. And reminding ourselves of how the air and our own bodies create these amazing nutrients. Allowing the blood to do what it needs to do. Expanding the lungs, which makes us more able to practice physically, but also more able to relax. I'm going to take a big, huge breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, release it. Inhale deeply again. And let it go. 3rd time. And then we'll come into a natural breath and close our mouths. Release the tongue from the top of the roof of your mouth. You can always place the tip of the tongue right behind the top teeth. And we loosen the jaw, loosen the lips. They don't have to be pressed and glued or Velcroed together. And now we start to create a slight constriction at the back of the throat. Not so much so that we can't breathe, because the whole point is to breathe and heat up. But enough that maybe the breath sounds like an ocean wave washing on the shore. Maybe you embrace a mantra as you breathe in. I am loved And as you breathe out, I give love. I am loved. I give love. I am loved. I give love. If you like, you might keep the eyes closed or maybe flicker them open. Drop your hands by your sides. We're going to reach the arms out, get really big in your space, and then continue with an inhale up overhead. We're going to face the palms down, let the fingers touch, and then press the air downward toward the earth. It's like we're working the energy of the earth and ourselves together. Hands drop by your sides. Inhale, lift, creating this beautiful bubble. Mother Nature, air, our own fire and breath. Hands press that energy down. 2 more of those. This time we're going to stop with the hands in the lap and we're going to face them upward. The fingers still touch. Now it's as if we're lifting our own energy upward and outward. So reach up, palms toward the sky. Your elbows might not quite do it flat, and that's okay. And then surround yourself with your own energy. Lifting energy from the core and the seat. Grounding, beautiful energy. Maybe it's a color. And then out and down. And we'll take 2 more of those. I'm going to plant the right fingertips on the ground. The middle finger points forward. Float the left arm high. Get super tall on both sides of the body. Press the sitting bones in. Lift the belly in and up. And a tilt over to the right. Working to open that whole right side of the body without squishing the left side so much that it's hard to breathe. And like a windmill, we come opposite direction, but we pause to lift nice and tall before tilting. The windmill and Don Quixote, all in one posture. Arms float up, cactus-shaped arms. Get bigger in your space. Use your triceps, use your biceps, but loosen the quads, loosen the heels, loosen the ankles and the calves. I'm going to take a gentle twist, coming over one shoulder, doesn't matter which one. Your back hand is not a kickstand, it's just a little guide. Lengthen the spine on the inhale and twist on the exhale, moving the eyeballs very, very far to toward the shoulder that is behind you, maybe past it. On an inhale, we come forward. On exhale, we twist to the other side. Inhale, come forward. We're going to tip the ear toward one shoulder. Maybe you massage the opposite shoulder and neck, or you place the opposite hand on the ground and reach it away from you. That might bring the stretch more into the shoulder. Release this and then turn your chin over that same shoulder. Come front and center. Opposite ear, opposite shoulder. Mine doesn't go very far, but maybe a little massage or stretching the hand away from you to open up the shoulder, not just the neck. We lift the head and look over that same shoulder, turning the chin. And the nose points forward. We float the arms back up overhead. Press the palms together there. Reach, reach, reach. Maybe lift your gaze. Big breath in. As you inhale, hands draw together at your heart. Thumb knuckles pressing into the heart. Shoulder blades squeeze together just a teeny tiny bit. We're going to set an intention or establish our motivation for coming to our mats today. You might close your eyes for this. And to kind of set that nice and firm, I'm going to say the word resolve 3 times. You're going to repeat that intention or motivation to yourself. Resolve. 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 And now we're gonna, before we start our more active physical aspect of the practice and move deeply into the vinyasa, we will surround ourselves with our intentions, with our motivations, using a chant of Om. If you prefer not to chant out loud, totally fine. You might let Om right out on your breath. To do so, we'll take a cleansing breath and then inhale and then Om. Cleansing breath first. Big, big, deep breath in. First stop, child's pose. I'll meet you there, face down on the mat. Knees nice and wide, big toes touch, arms long, head resting on something. So if it resists coming to the mat, place something underneath it. Get nice and long on both sides of your body. Draw your sitting bones toward your heels. Feel the armpits stretch. Maybe crawl the fingers forward a little bit to stretch the undersides of the arms. Just to get the feel of the spine, we're going to come into a tabletop for some cats and cows. Making sure the shoelace sides of the feet are connected to the mat. The fingers are nice and wide, so you've got real estate to work with. It's like you're palming a basketball if you've never done that, and I don't think I have. I'm not sure my hands are big enough, but you're pressing the finger pads into the earth. The heel of the hand, it's like a comic book outline of your hand that is super connected to the earth. If the body is calling for some other shape or movement here, take it. I like the hula hoop circle. And if you take something asymmetrical, take it in the other direction. And now with a strong spine, we're going to walk the hands forward a couple of inches, tuck the toes under, and find our way to a downward dog. And in your down dog, it might feel good to pedal things out. And if you tend to bring your feet super wide in your down dog, maybe you make it a little bit narrower. And if your feet tend to be really close together, maybe you make them a little wider. Just finding the firm anchor into the ground that works for you. Chest energy moves toward the thighs. Gaze is between the calves or knees or thighs. We are powerful. We're drawing the belly in and up to help take the weight out of the hands. We're going to peel forward to our high plank. Should be the same length as your downward dog. Then on an exhale, come back to your downward dog. Inhale, high plank. Pause for a moment. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, high plank. Drop your knees so you're in a long tabletop. Untuck your toes. We're going to work our chaturanga from our knees. So as you bend your elbows, draw them in toward your rib cage and pause. Press back up. Elbows into your rib cage, they bend and pause. Now you're going to come all the way down to the mat, starting with the nose, then the chin, then the chest, and you might need to slide your hips back. Hands are underneath your shoulders. Just get a feeling for this. If you have low back issues, maybe you widen your feet. Turn your head to one side. Turn your head to the other side. Forehead to the earth. Now, as I mentioned, the traditional back bend here is an upward dog. But this early in the practice, why don't we work for just a baby cobra? Squeeze the shoulder blades together, open up the collarbones, and then on an inhale, you keep your navel drawing away from the mat, but your bony hips on the mat. And we lift the chest and head off the mat. Just a little baby back bend. I'm sure if there was a cobra in the wild, we would prefer for it to be a baby cobra, I think. Exhale down to the mat. Baby cobra, inhale. Exhale down to the mat. And one more time. Forward and up with the heart. Breathe, 3, 2, 1, and all the way down to the mat, child's pose. Downward dog. 3 beautiful breaths here. Remember, it is your practice, it is not mine. So if something doesn't work for you, you can change it. You can do something different. You can take a variation. You can adjust things. Downward dog doesn't work for you all the time. Tabletop does you just as well as long as you draw the belly in and up. Breathing, 2, 1. We rise to the tiptoes, bend the knees, and take a walk to our hands to the front of the mat. Forward fold. Maybe a sway. Knees are nice and soft. Head hangs heavy. Belly should be connected to your thighs in some way, shape, or form. So if it's not, you might bend your knees. Nod your head, shake your head, waggle your eyebrows, open and close the mouth. A halfway lift. I like to bring my palms to my shins for that. You might bend your knees a little bit more so the back gets nice and flat. Shoulders toward the hips. Breathe in. Exhale, fold. Unravel all the way to standing. Arms float out and up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Drop your hands by your sides. Inhale, sweep them up and high. And then drop your right hand to your thigh, just like when we were seated. We're going to get really long in both sides of the body. Unlock your knees if they're locked and tilt over to the right. Lots of energy in the outer edge of the left foot. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, opposite hand down. Get tall, breathe in. And exhale, tilt. Inhale, both arms up. A little twist, right arm forward, left arm behind. You're working to keep the hips square to the front of the mat. If you like to add a back bend to this, you can drop the left hand to your right glute or thigh and lift the right arm. Use each of your feet on the mat. We're going to sweep that left arm high and take our twist on the other side. East-west pose. Add the back bend if you like, or if you did on the other side. We aim for symmetry, even though the body is not perfectly symmetrical. Come forward, both arms overhead. We're going to do a little sweep of the arms behind us on an out breath with the knees bent, kind of like a chair pose, but maybe a little bit more like a ha skiing shape. So ha, lift up, breathe in. 2 more, ha, ha, and a forward fold. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Step, step back, high plank. Elbows in, maybe you drop your knees, low plank. Nose, chin, chest to the mat, your back bend. If you decide to take an upward dog, you want your arms lengthened and your hip bones are away from the earth. Shoulders away from the ears, shoulder blades squeeze together, and move to downward dog. Nice work. Hopefully you're warming up. I certainly am. Breathing in and out. 3 beautiful breaths. We make our way back to the top of the mat. It's a hop, a skip, a walk, a jump, a crawl. It doesn't really matter. Forward fold. Halfway lift. Long flat back, 3 breaths. You're not looking up necessarily, but the head might be a little bit lifted as opposed to way down or way up. Release into your fold and unravel all the way to standing. We're going to move into a chair pose. I'm going to take cactus arms, your choice where your arms and hands go. Energy is into the heels. We're going to lift the balls of the feet and the toes off the mat. Spread the toes wide. And then starting with the pinky toes, bring them back down to the mat one at a time. Draw the belly in and up. See if then you can rise to the balls of the feet and sink down a little bit, slowly bringing the heels back to the mat, staying low. Interlace the fingers behind you or hook your fingers. Draw your arms long, knuckles down. Open up the heart, keeping your knees soft. A forward fold, maintaining your bind. And maybe that bind floats away from your spine. Maybe it does not. Hands release. Halfway lift. Forward fold. We move through our vinyasa, stepping or floating backward, working to not make that scrapey noise with the feet onto the mat. Low plank. I'm going to drop my knees for that. Elbows in. Nose, chin, chest to the mat. Your back bend. Downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now, many people ask, hey, let's walk to the front of the mat again. So we can have a little, it's not exactly a conversation, but roll all the way up. So some people ask, what if I can't go nose, chin, chest? Especially if you're doing your low plank and into your back bend with your knees off the ground. The suggestion is to drop the knees. It's really hard for us if we don't have some upper body strength. So think about this rather than as trying to perfect it, because guess what? It's called a practice, not a perfect. That you're working the elbows in. So as you're lowering down, the elbows are bending and you're drawing them into your rib cage. That's what you want to work. This is what will bring the strength into the upper body to make that happen. So let's try chair pose again. Utkatasana. Bring the hands to the heart. And if it works for you, shift onto the left foot and float the right knee up. Just finding a little balance. And bring the right foot down, lift the left knee up. Bring the left foot down, chair pose. Bring your fingers into your hip creases and fold from those. A halfway lift. And forward fold for a runner's lunge, left foot to the back of the mat. And find your runner's lunge. Let's not just be there to make the shape. Let's be there to find the shape, to explore it, maybe to notice any discomfort and allow that to happen. The back knee is straight. The kneecap draws toward the quad on the same side. We're working the belly energy away from the thigh and pressing the big toe mound of that front foot into the earth. If you need blocks because the floor is too far away and you're rounding your spine, bring your hands either flat or bring your fingertips to the blocks. That can help you find this beautiful length in your spine. Wherever you are, the left hand stays down on the mat. The right hand either floats high for your twist or the heel of the hand draws to your low back, your choice. And we breathe. And we drag the front of the mat backward with that front foot. And we reach that back heel way, way, way away from us. Drawing the big toe mound of the front foot to the earth. 2, 1, frame your front foot. Extend your front leg, fold over it. Come onto the heel of the front foot. Peel forward, runner's lunge. Drop your back knee to the mat. We'll move into Anjaneyasana. So you untuck your back toes, draw your shoulders over your hips. Your hands could be by your sides or on your thigh or up overhead. And feel this posture. Maybe moving the front foot outward to find better balance. Maybe sinking a bit deeper into the front hip crease to open up the hip flexor on the left side. On the left side, speaking of which, we activate the glutes and the hamstrings to protect the low back. Now we're going to cup the hips, the right hip, with the hands and take a twist, dropping the chin down to the earth. Come forward, frame your front foot with your hands and find your half split. I like to have quite the core strength to lift my leg off the ground. So I use my right hand to hike my right leg forward. And again, it's as if you're dragging the mat back with that front heel to square up your hips. You can use your blocks, reach the heart forward, and you want a nice long spine. It does not matter how low you get with your head. Toes are peeling toward your torso. All the weight is not in your hands. Your belly is helping out a ton. The shoulders draw toward the hips, the collarbones open, and the heart reaches forward as if you're reaching it past the front of your mat. We breathe here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to move into a lizard pose. So if you have props, you might move them away. You're going to bring the sole of the front foot back to the mat. The knee bends. Hands come inside the front foot. Heel toe, the right foot out to the right. It's parallel to the mat. You can peel open that foot like a book, and maybe this is plenty for you. You might take a twist. You might be moving that back kneecap away from you so that you're not squishing it. You could take a quad stretch here, or you could go right into your lizard. Maybe staying with the hands directly on the mat or walking them forward until the forearms come to a block or the mat. Beautiful hip opener. This can be a bit of a trial for some of us. I hated it for a long time. But I am less attached to that heat. And now I explore it. Pelvis moves forward. I feel where the breath needs to go to soften up the hip crease and the inner thigh. Hands return back under your shoulders. Foot returns to the mat, back toes under. And we bring the hands now to frame the front foot to find our pyramid pose. Hopping the back foot up the mat partially, both feet on the earth, and a fold over the right leg. Maybe blocks are called for here. Draw that right hip back. Square the hips up. Maybe you find a half lift and refine your fold. Head is loose on the neck. Step forward for a wide-legged forward fold. Again, blocks if that helps. This time the left fingertips draw onto the mat or the block like your hand is Thing from the Addams Family. We're going to bend the right knee, the left knee, and float the right arm high, or again, bring the heel of the right hand to your low back. We're now stretching out the IT band, the outside of the right leg. If you don't feel anything, you're going to lift halfway up and then spin the navel around the spine. If you still don't feel anything, you might straighten your left leg or bring your feet closer. Both hands down to the mat or your block. Bring heel toe your feet back together. Making a last moment decision, halfway lift and a forward fold, a step or a float back to your high plank. Knees drop down if you need it. Elbows into the ribs as you bend them, low plank, nose, chin, chest, hips, your back bend. And into a downward facing dog. 3 big cleansing breaths. We make our way back to the front of the mat. Returning to standing. Hands at your heart. Hands to your low back. Right above the fleshy part, the fingers point down. With slightly soft knees, we're going to shift the hips forward just an inch or two. We're going to lengthen the torso, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the heart. Follow that sequence again. Flesh down, hips forward, long torso, shoulder blades, heart lifts, and maybe the head drops back. A very light standing back bend. On a breath out, the shoulders stack over the hips, belly draws in, hands sweep out and up. Inhale. And exhale, forward fold. Lift halfway, long flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. And fold all the way down to Uttanasana. This time, right foot to the back of the mat, runner's lunge. Explore this, discover it. What does it mean for your body today? I'm taking advantage of the blocks today so I can find more, I can identify better where this posture needs some extra breath and where I might effort less. Right hand down, left arm high for your twist. You can always bring the heel of the left hand to your low back. Make sure that front knee is pointing straight forward You're welcome to take a half bind if that works for you here. Twisting from the waist, not the shoulders or the hips. The left hand comes down. We extend the right leg and fold over it. We peel the ball of foot off the mat. Anjaneyasana, knee down lunge. Take your time. And you might notice this side feels a little easier. Whoops, falling down. Or a little more difficult. And it doesn't matter. The body is not perfectly symmetrical. We do certain things a certain way. We are habituated with. So maybe our left hip flexor is more open than our right hip flexor. Either way, you're going to scoot your front foot forward a little bit. Sink a little deeper into the posture. Send your pelvis forward. Squeeze the right glutes and the right hamstrings. We're using the heels of the hands if your hands are on your thighs, but they don't have to be. We're using the heels of the hands to press away from the thighs. So we're deriving a bit more of a back bend here. If you are grabbing the mat with your front toes, loosen them. I'm not saying anybody is doing that, but I was. And we cup the left hip with the hand and drop the chin. We come forward for our half split. Maybe using your hands to extend that front leg, maybe not. For a lizard pose, the sole of that left foot comes back to the mat. Foot is out to the edge of the mat and parallel to it. You're welcome to take a twist here. A quad stretch. Shift that back knee back if you're squishing your kneecap. Pelvis moves forward as opposed to down. And then when you're ready, you can peel the foot open like a book. Remain with your hands on a block or under your shoulders on the mat, or walk your hands forward, allowing your forearms to come to a prop or to the mat. Hands plant once again onto the mat under your shoulders. The foot comes down to the mat, maybe scoots in a little bit. We scoot both hands outside, around the front foot and slightly behind. Tuck your toes under, lift your hips, find pyramid pose, Parsvottanasana. The right thigh is spinning outward, but the back of that thigh and the front of the back thigh are drawing together in energy. You'll notice we spent a little bit more time in each posture today. Very purposeful. Step forward, wide-legged forward fold. Left hand onto the earth. Which way did we twist last time? Right hand onto the earth, right knee bends, left arm high for your twist. Opening up the IT band. Before we move down to the mat, we're going to take one more vinyasa after we stand. So draw back to the mat with your hands, bring your feet together, float to standing. And if you like a swan dive, draw the belly in for a flat back forward fold. Your halfway lift. Forward fold, step or float, high plank. low plank, back bend, and a downward dog. Breathing in, I loved. Breathe out, high, give love. Peel forward to your high plank. I said one more, but there's never a final, is there? Low plank, back bend, all the way down to the mat. Breathing in, 3, 2, and 1. Hands draw by the sides, palms face down. Feet might spread a little bit wider. And we connect the hip bones to the earth. Lift the belly button up. We're going to find a locust pose. On a breath in, maybe we start with the heart and the face, then the hands and arms, and then maybe the feet and legs float up. And we breathe here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and all the way down to the mat. One final back bend, Sphinx, Cobra, or upward facing dog. See, now that I'm warmed up, upward facing dog is possible. And we move into child's pose. That's one of the opportunities of the physical practice, is to notice how the body changes over the actual time and session of the practice. Find your seat. We're going to work our way into a twist. So you might sit down at roughly the middle of your mat. Lengthen the left leg. And scoot the ankle of the right foot outside your left leg. Twist over the right shoulder. So yes, so the intention of the practice is to prepare the physical body and the breath and the heart mind to handle difficult stuff off the mat. So by challenging ourselves on the mat, by exploring discomfort, by understanding and accepting that each posture is never the same when we practice, we create that preparation, and over time, in a given practice, a given session, or your overall practice in weeks, months, years, you become more prepared. And you find that off the mat, things are easier, or at least your response to them is easier. We're going to take our twist to the other side. Both legs extend onto the mat. Paschimottanasana, your seated double-legged forward fold. And then roll all the way onto the mat. Bring the soles of the feet to the mat. Cross your right knee above your left knee, like you're sitting in a chair. Then move your hips over to the left and drop your knees to the right. Final sequence of twist. Arms might plop out and your gaze could move over the left shoulder if that feels comfortable. Sole of the left foot back to the mat. We shift the hips back to their natural spot and cross the legs the other way. Hip shift this time over to the right. Knees drop to the left. And the gaze moves to the right. Realign your spine to as straight as it would normally be, top to bottom. And your choice, a happy baby or a Supta Baddha Konasana. I'm going to move into Supta Baddha Konasana, which is our bound angle pose, feet together, knees drop outward, and arms are overhead. Or you could place a hand on the belly and a hand on the heart. If you're in a happy baby, you might find a rocking left and right feels really yummy. Regardless of the shape you have made, we're now going to meet in Shavasana. Reminding yourself that whatever shape makes sense for you, to relax for a couple of minutes, to remain relatively still, because obviously we're breathing, so we're not completely still. The blood is moving. We take a big, huge breath in through the nose. Release it. No effort in the breath. The body sinks downward. The heart and energy lift upward. And we simply be human beings. The breath now deepens, and the breath invites some movement back in to the body as if you're reawakening or maybe awakening for the first time today. You might take a full body stretch or find circles with your ankles and wrists. And when you're ready, you'll roll over onto one side, allowing yourself to press the body back up to a comfortable seat, to Sukhasana. Arms lift out and up overhead, the palms press together. Maybe the gaze lifts. Exhale, hands draw together at your heart. We take a moment in gratitude for finding our way to the mat today. And we close our practice now as we opened the active part of the practice with an Om. Exhale all the air out of your lungs. Breathe in deeply. Thumb knuckles connect with your center forehead. Breathing in, I am loved. Breathing out, I give love. Namaste. It is an honor to practice with you, and I hope to see you again soon. I will be here next week, which is the Vermont Crafts Council's open studios, which we're participating in, the last day of September and October 1st. If you happen to be watching this live or during the week before that, we would love to see you here. Have a really wonderful rest of your day or evening. I am Karen. See you soon.